Welcome and good day to everyone. I'm Jojo Tagbo, the president of Seymour Market. Uh, I created this program, this module, supposedly for supervisors and managers only. But I realized that assistants are the future leaders of this company. I also wanted to fast track your training because we are opening stores left and right. I hope you will be challenged and be able to prepare for the future. So the slides that I prepared for you is already on your screen. But before I start, I would like to share with you a quote by George Bernard Shaw. He said, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. It's always important that you have a good mindset so that you can, even if there are problems or failures, you can move on and learn from those experiences. And examples of mindsets that I normally encounter in our company is whenever there are concerns or issues that affects a person's performance. For example, when I was just starting in SM, I was assigned in front end for 2 years, and then 1 year in selling, and then 1 year in RDU. So it took me 4 years before I became an assistant store manager, and it took me also 4 years before I was able to know front end, RDU, and selling. Unlike some of you, you already went through the 3 departments in 5 months. So in effect, you have blessings, and with that blessings uh, requires responsibility. So some of you who have been assigned to the stores, maybe you have encountered issues with your supervisors or managers who are not as wholehearted in accepting you. That's normal because in the future you will be their boss. So you have to understand them and put yourself into their shoes. Uh, Another mindset that sometimes affects your performance is when you get transferred. Your first reaction is, ano ba yan? Additional expense, additional 8 pesos when you get transferred from one store to the other. But look at it this way. What have you gained when you got transferred to that store? Is that experience, exposure equivalent to 8 pesos? Of course not. You gained a lot more when you go into a new store, a new environment, new friends, and new challenges. Another mindset is, I remember a stock clerk who was assigned to SM Eats. After 1 week, he resigned because he was ashamed that their neighbors will see him. But what did you learn when you are assigned in the Toron station? You learn about logistics and you gain PR. You have gained public relations skills to be able to sell. And of course, how you market the Toron. So all of the things that you learn is really not equivalent to being ashamed of. So it's important that you change the mindset of not being ashamed of something that you learn. You may not be able to use it today, but in the future you will need it when you have your own business. Of course, another issue is that when you are given a lot of responsibilities, imagine yourself at the middle of the circle, and then your supervisors or managers is giving you a lot of responsibility. What is your initial reaction? Ano ba yan? Ang daming trabaho pero pareho naman ang sweldo. So don't look at it that way. Look at it as if your supervisor and managers trust you and is giving you additional responsibility. They will not give you responsibilities if you cannot handle it. So you have to change again your mindset. Another thing is sometimes you expect a lot. You expect merit increase, you expect promotions, but you are not doing anything. There's no additional thing that you are accomplishing. So if you want to get more, you want to, you have to give more. So additional effort, additional time you should invest for you to aspire to be a manager or to get a, a very good merit increase. So again, I'd like to remind you, if you want a different result, you have to give more. If you want to have more, you should give more. So these are the mindset that you will encounter from time to time. I personally encountered that with my staff before. So the difference between those who succeed and those who doesn't succeed is your mindset. It's your attitude in life and in work. And of course, our model is of course Tatang, NDC Senior. He has a lot of principles in life. Hopefully, you can learn from those principles and apply it in your work and in your life. Just to introduce myself and to give you a short background, I came from the province. I'm from Lucena City. Provinciano ako. Not as good looking as Coco Martin, but provinciano nonetheless. I graduated elementary in Lucena East 5. During high school, I had two schools in Quezon National High School, and I graduated in Southern Luzon Polytechnic College. And then I went to Manila in Far Eastern University. I graduated BS Psychology. But before that, I was a working student. I was a sacristan, and during my fourth year, I was a crew in McDonald's, Quezon Avenue. And now I took up my master's in education in LaSalle. Imagine that I'm already a president and I'm still studying. Hopefully, you can also learn from these experiences and not be satisfied with what you have right now. Everything should be, you should have a lot of learnings. Don't be satisfied by what you are learning right now. Continuously learn, be a lifelong learner, and be teachable so that in the future you can use those experiences and knowledge as a leader. So in SM, I started as a supervisor, MT, 1991. And then, as you can see, I grew up the ranks and now as president of Seymour. Uh, some of you might be going too fast. So I advise you to, don't jump any step. Focus on your career right now. Maybe get married when you are 40 years old already. But joke lang. I'm telling you this because we have a lot of issues with our staff, especially the female ones who are getting married right there and there. So please, don't be in a hurry. Make sure that you take care of your career first. And then go out of your comfort zone. Sometimes, if you are comfortable already with your situation because you are with your parents, you don't want to get transferred, or you don't want to uh, go outside your comfort zone, then where is your growth? For you to have growth, for you to be promoted or to have a big increase in salary, you have to go beyond your comfort zone. You have to volunteer for new stores. You have to be assigned in other areas where you are not comfortable with so that there's learning. Without learning, then there's no growth. Okay? So I created this leadership to go program for all positions. Right now, you're taking up Rise Up. When you get promoted to supervisor, you'll also attend my session, Live Up, and then if you become an assistant store manager, then Shape Up. And when you become a full-fledged manager, you'll join my e-coaching session. And then as an executive, mentoring. So if you notice, it's a ladderized module program for you. So if you want to go through all those modules, then make sure that you learn a lot of things and don't resign. Baka ma-miss niyo ako if you resign. So I'm looking forward for your next session. I deal a lot with coaching and mentoring. So most of the assistants who were promoted passed through my modules, and some of them are here in the pictures. So for the Rise Up session, this is the beginner series for assistants. I call it Rise Up because you are already um, rising up the ladder. So it's important that you learn a lot from your experiences and from others. Imagine me as your president giving you the session. So I should charge you for it per hour. 1,000 per hour per person. Okay. But to give you a short description of the Rise Up module, it's really about what would be the difference between supervision and management. And of course, I want you to become manager. So also because of leadership, I want you to have a clear understanding of what is the supervisory position and what is the role of a supervisor is, because you are already acting like a supervisor. So how do you rise up? I originally titled this I Got You, but later on when I took up my master's, I changed it to Learn, Lead, and Serve, which is my motto. John Maxwell's teaching is about learning, earning, and returning. But for me, it's all about serving others. So I will start with learning. How do you learn? How do you lead? And how do you serve? So of all my modules, it goes to that to three phases: learning, leading, and serving, which is actually our learning objective. So for learning, our outcome is that hopefully you can grow as a assistant supervisor, and then lead. Hopefully you can be inspired and influence others. And at the end of the day, is for you to serve others. That is your social responsibility. Okay? So Peter Drucker, one of the famous leadership gurus, said that successful careers are not planned. They develop when people are prepared for opportunities because they know their strengths, their method of work, and their values. Knowing where one belongs can transform an ordinary person, hardworking and competent but otherwise mediocre, into an outstanding performer. So what he's saying is that you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. With that, I would like to share with you the Johari Window. It's a matrix created by Joseph Luck and Harrington Inham. So kaya Johari Window. So the first one is about the open self, what you know and what others know. The hidden self, what others don't know and what you know. The unknown self, what others don't know and what you don't know about yourself, which is very hard. I think you need a psychologist to discover that. I want you to focus more on the blind self, which is what you don't know about yourself and what others know. Typically, your supervisors or managers will tell you something about your weakness. And you have to be thankful. Why? Because they are giving it for free. Meaning, they are saying the things that you need to improve on. So that is your blind self. So you have to be thankful to your supervisors and managers because they are telling you your weaknesses. And it's important that you improve on all those weaknesses. That is the start of knowing yourself. So you have to have your vision. Ano ba ang gusto mo? You have to know your passion. Saan ka ba magaling? Saan ka ba hindi masyado magaling? And then ano ba yung purpose mo sa buhay? Why are you here? There were three masons during the 18th century building a church. And one of them were asked, each one of them were asked the question, what were they doing? The first one answered, uh, I'm earning a living. The second one said, I'm cutting stone. The third one said, I'm building a cathedral. So the question now is that, why are you here? Are you just earning a living? Are you just doing your job? Or are you building your community? You're building your future. So I hope that you can answer that question. Don't be in a hurry. It's really hard to find your purpose, but I'm sure uh, you will be able to know it in the near future. And then what are your values? It's important that you have those values. I'll explain it later. And then how do you keep on improving? You have to be a lifelong learner. Don't be satisfied with just knowing what you know right now. Because every day, every week, every month, every year, times are changing. So you have to adapt to the times. Then the law of the lead. It tells you that what you do today may not be applicable anymore tomorrow. So that is why you have to continuously improve yourself. Because if this is your lead and you're not growing, how can you become a supervisor or a manager if you don't keep on improving? So you have to think, speak, and dress like a supervisor or a manager. And to do that, you have to learn a lot of things. And then, this is not the typical principle that I would normally teach. But for you, I would like to share this one, the advantages of disadvantage and the disadvantages of advantages. So ano ba yan, sir? Nakakalito naman. Well, it just goes to show that your weakness can also be your strength. And your strength can also be your weakness. Just like the story of some Goliath and David. David and Goliath. No? Who won in that particular contest? It's David. Why? Because David used his weakness as his strength. Unlike Goliath, who used his strength but became his weakness. In your workplace, you might be surprised that how come may mga employees who go to this particular supervisor. Doon gusto magpapirma, bakit ayaw dito sa supervisor number 2? Why? Because yung supervisor number 1 is sobrang bait, perma lang ng perma. While the supervisor number 2 is naigpit. Okay? Tatanungin ka pag nagpapasign ka ng off-duty kung tapos na yung trabaho mo. So, saan ka natuto? Dun sa perma lang ng perma o dun sa nagtatanong? So, dun sa mataray na nagtatanong, she used her weakness as his strength compared to the mabait na supervisor or manager. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Sometimes your weakness can also be your strength. Mahirap kung your weakness is always your weakness. Why? Because it will be forever your liability. Lagi mong iiwasan, lagi mong kinatatakutan. For example, nung bata ka, you're afraid of math. So what happens? Pagdating mo ng college, you don't want a course na may math. So hanggang tumanda ka, na nag-tutor ka sa anak mo, ayaw mo rin ng math. So merong forever. Forever liability mo yung math. So that's why it's important that you improve yourself. Kung saan ka mahina, you improve on that. And if you're thinking of resigning, please learn from this. There are 5 levels of leadership. 1, position, you're being followed because boss ka eh. Then permission, okay ka, so susundin kita. Then production, ibig sabihin meron kang contribution kaya kita sinusunod. Then number 4, people, you're able to produce leaders like you. And then pinnacle, out of respect, you're being followed. So let's just say in SM, you're at level number 3. And then you resign and transferred to another company. So what do you think is your level when you transfer to the new company? It's not number 3. You will go back to number 1 because you will have to adjust again to the environment. Ito ang hindi nakikita ng mga nag-resign. Okay? Ang nakikita lang nila yung sweldo, times 2, times 3, but they don't see the reality that they have to go back and prove themselves to others. Okay? And then, as an assistant supervisor, ano ba yung madalas nyong gawin? Okay? These are some of the things that you are doing right now. You direct, you check, you control, you monitor, you evaluate, you improve, and you guide. According to Cambridge English Dictionary, ano daw ba ang supervision? The act of watching a person or activity and making certain that everything is done correctly. Okay? But for the purpose of our discussion today, let's use this definition. Supervision is giving employees specific instructions on what is to be done, monitoring their efforts, and holding them accountable for specific results. So normally, as a supervisor, nag-uutos lang tayo. After that, wala na. But there are 3 components of supervision. Una, merong instruction. Second, dapat we monitor. And then third, dapat may result. So dapat yung tatlong bagay na yon is complete in terms of supervision. Don't be satisfied by just giving instructions. Kailangan merong monitoring and result. But of course, we want you to be promoted. So ano bang difference ng supervision to management? Because we want you to be managers also. So what is management? Management is developing a goal for what is to be done. It involves planning and budgeting, organizing and stopping, controlling and problem solving. So kaya malaki ang sweldo ng manager. Gusto niyo pa bang maging manager? Diba? Daming trabaho. But when it comes to responsibility, marami, but mas malaki rin ang sweldo. Okay? So it's important that as managers, you know your role in achieving your goals. Okay? But it doesn't stop there. Pag manager ka na ba, you stop from learning? No. You have to be a leader. You cannot be a successful leader if you are not a good manager, a good supervisor. So kailangan mo maging good follower before you can be a good leader. So what is leadership? Ano bang pinagkaiba ng leadership sa management? So leadership is the process whereby one individual influences other group members towards the attainment of defined or organizational goals. It involves influence, involves goal attainments, and requires followers. Okay? So kung napansin nyo, management is about function, leadership is about people. Anong mas mahirap? Of course, pasunurin mo yung mga tao mo to the attainment of goals, medyo mahirap yun kasi magkakaiba kayo ng gusto sa buhay, ng gusto mangyari. So, how do you perform as a leader? Well, kailangan, sabi ni John Cotter, meron kang vision. Saan kayo pupunta? Parang if we want to go to Baguio, dapat lahat tayo going to Baguio. Hindi pwedeng iba pupunta ng Boracay. Okay? Aligning people with the vision through communication. So, kailangan alam ng mga tao mo kung ano yung gusto mong papuntahan. Okay? Si Henry Kissinger, sabi niya, leadership is about taking people where they would not have got by themselves. Ibig sabihin, ikaw yung nag-provide ng direction para ma-achieve nila yung gusto nilang mapuntahan. Well, there are several definitions of what a leader is. Si John Maxwell said, if you want to become a better leader, you must not only know yourself and define your values, you must live them out. Dapat daw sinasabuhay mo ang pagiging leader mo in and out of the company. The outstanding leaders of every age are those who set up their own quotas and constantly exceed them, according to Thomas Watson. Si C.K. Pralhad, a job of a leader is not to be a caretaker who maintains a steady level of performance, but rather a disruptor who pushes the organization to deliver more. So dapat daw, as a leader, you are a disruptor, especially in these times of pandemic. Like right now, normally I do this face-to-face. Meron tayong lecture. But because of the pandemic, I have to adjust to whatever resources that we have right now. And that is by online, by Zoom. According to Dominic Barton, managers take care of railroad tracks that are already there and make sure the trains run well. But leaders ship the tracks. They ponder different futures. They swing for the fences. Meaning, they accept change and they have to adjust through the dynamic role of changes. Okay? Kasi change is always there. Hindi nawawala yan. Some of the other definitions of what a leader is. To lead well, you sometimes need to share yourself. To become a leader, you have to share yourself. Why? Because you cannot handle it alone. You have to train additional leaders who can help you out. So what are the characteristics of a good assistant supervisor? Remember EAST 5. E, extra effort. A, attitude. S, skills. T, timeless philosophies. 5, social responsibility. That is to serve. So E, what is E? Bakit may effort na kailangan extra pa? Well, because you have to be different from others. Mayroong sinasabi, ABC, above and beyond the call of duty. Go an extra mile. You cannot be regularized if you are not above average. But the problem is, once you get regularized, hindi na above average, average na. Okay? Just because regular ka na, papetik-petik ka na. No. You have to still improve yourself. Make sure you are above average. And how do you do that? Kailangan, you should always give your best. Okay? Hindi pwede yung okay na. And then, over-deliver. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng over-deliver? For example, it's a Friday and your boss asks you to submit a report on Monday. So pag sinabi mong over-deliver, submit it on a Saturday or Sunday, not on a Monday. Because Monday, you are just like the others. They will submit Monday. Okay? And then you have to anticipate. No? I remember in McDonald's, mag-iisang buwan na ako sa dining. Taga-linis ng floors, tables, and comfort rooms. Pinakaiyo ko lahat yung maglinis ng comfort rooms. So how do I assign myself to the kitchen? Kasi the kitchen is the heart of the operation. So I remember there's a party ng gabi, and I made sure na papasok ako ng maaga. Why? Because alam ko, maraming late, maraming absent. And true enough, that morning at 5 a.m., I called the shift manager and asked if I can work. Sabi niya, yes. So na-assign ako sa kitchen, and from then on, I wasn't assigned to dining anymore. So anticipate. Make sure that you know how to anticipate so that your boss will be delighted with you. And then offer something unique. If your boss asks for a report, don't just submit a report. Submit your opinions, your observations, your recommendations. Okay? And then you have to work as a team. You cannot work alone. Especially in the store wherein you are in different departments. Marami kang kasama and you have to work with them. Kailangan ng social skills when you work in a company. Okay? Attitude is important. Why? Because successful people know that they will encounter mistakes, they will experience mistakes and failures, so they have to have a good, positive attitude. Okay? So you have to develop the 4 C's. Ano ba yung 4 na C's? Competence, confidence, commitment, and contract. Competence, you have to know what you're doing. That's technical competence. The other one is emotional competence, your maturity. No? There's a prayer, the serenity prayer, that states that give me the serenity to accept the change that I cannot change, the courage to change what I cannot, but I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So yung maturity mo na pag napagalitan ka, how would you react? Are you going to go outside? Magpo-protesta ka ron? Pinatatanggal mo yung manager? Or are you willing to move forward and learn from those mistakes? And then if you have the competence, then automatic, the confidence is there already. And also the commitment, because you know already the job, you know how to deliver the output that is required from you by your boss. And then contract means dumadami yung responsibility mo. No? Ibig sabihin, your boss knows that you can deliver. That's why he or she is giving you a lot of work assignments. And then once you have the 4 C's, what happens? Nandiyan na yung compensation. You will be recognized. Nandiyan yung promotion. Ano ba ang dapat mauna? 4 C's o yung compensation, recognition? Of course, the 4 C's first. Hindi pwedeng recognition agad. You reap what you sow. So kailangan, meron ka munang ginawa bago ka mabiyayaan. Okay? One of the principles that I created is passion before compensation. Pakita mo muna yung drive mo bago ka mabigyan ng recognition. Okay? And Because of this attitude, please read this. 1, 2, 3. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what others think or say or do. It is more important than appearances, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for the day. We cannot change the past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a very certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on one string we have, and that is attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. Sabi ni Charles Window. So regardless whether your boss is masungit, mataray, pinahihirapan ka, it is how you react. Okay? It is how you react. You cannot change your past. Okay? You cannot change your bosses. But you can only handle how you react to it. Okay? Always remember that. Then, how do you handle mistakes? You were able to commit a mistake, nagkamali ka, nakabasag ka, inaccept mo, good. But are you accountable? Nung i-charge na, ayaw mo na. How can that be? Nagkamali ka, pero ayaw mo ng accountability. And then, your attitude towards challenges and changes. Nalipat ka ng branch. What would you do? Aayaw ka? You will not submit? Or you are willing to embrace the challenge? And then, your attitude towards failure. Okay, napagalitan ka, nagkamali ka. So how do you move forward? How do you stand up? And then, your attitude towards success. Lumalaki ba yung ulo mo? What are you going to do if you have success in life or in work? Then, you should have that leadership mindset. Kailangan be positive. Okay? Aim for the stars. If you're an assistant right now, you want to be a manager, then aim to become a manager. Believe in yourself or no one else will. Wala namang iba eh, ikaw lang. Learn and grow. Be teachable. Kailangan you're learning a lot of things. Don't be satisfied with what you know right now. Be brave. Accelerate your career. So if you can read a lot of books, there's a lot of books na libre. So basahin mo so that you can learn a lot from those things. And then stay the course while others fall. Just because yung iba nag-resign ka rin. So you have to stay the course and be successful. If you always resign, what happens? There's no legacy. Wala kang naturuan. Okay? So, stay the course. Then skills. Master each skills. It's important that you're an expert in all skills that you have. During my time, they are always saying, be a jack of all trades. Try to know everything. Try to know something about everything. Acquire multiple skills. Don't be satisfied na nagbabag ka lang, nagkakashare ka lang, nagdi-display ka lang. Try to know how to read expiry codes, how to maintain the temperatures of refrigeration. Then develop new skills. Kailangan yan. Because as a leader, hindi naman pwedeng communication skills lang. You should know how to negotiate as well. You should know how to talk to different kinds of people. So listening skills, kailangan yan. And then transfer those skills. Sasabihin nyo, sir, paano ako mapopromote kung ita-transfer ko yun, di maunahan pa ako? Ibig sabihin nun, you have a different role already. You have to lose your job. Your role now is to train more people. And of course, how can you be transferred if nobody will replace you? So make sure that someone is being trained or you are training someone to replace you. Okay? Some of you may not know it for now, but just to share with you, even if you don't stay in SM, you will learn a lot and you can use those learnings in the future. For example, you know already the three departments, selling, RDU, front end. That is basically retailing. You receive, you display, and then you sell. That is retailing. So in the future, if you want to come up with your own business, you already know what retailing is. So what you're learning right now is actually for your future. You just don't know it. But I'm already telling you, whatever you have right now, you can use it in the future. Or even now, if you want to get promoted, or if you want a bigger increase, if you know the three departments, you can already be a assistant store manager. Okay, I can assign you to 2 or 3 stores. And then, for you to be successful, sabi nila, there's one principle that athletes follow, the 20,000 hours rule. Ibig sabihin, you have to have a practice of 20,000 hours for you to be an expert or successful. Okay? Just like athletes, like basketball players, soccer players, they practice 20,000 hours. And that would take them about 4 to 5 years. Imagine every day you practice your strengths. You become an expert. Okay? And how about you? Did you practice 20,000 hours rules na? Okay? Normally, I ask this, what are you doing during your day offs? Alam nyo bang you have 48 day offs in a year? Oh. So if you're doing the same thing all over again 48 times, then what have you gained? Ganun pa rin. Magluto, maglaba, magplancha. Imagine 48 days of your day offs, magluto, maglaba, magplancha lang ang gagawin nyo. Okay? You have to try new things. Okay? If you have always excuses, like meron akong anak, meron akong ginagawa, busy, then what have you learned? You have not learned anything new. You have to learn something new. Okay? 8 years ago, I started my marathons. I jogged. And then after that, I went into biking and then swimming. And then nagsawa ako sa sports. I went into music. Nag-gitara ako, nag-drums. Kahit hindi bagay sa akin ang music. So I know already what my passion is, which is running. And I know already where I'm not good at, which is music. Okay? So you can discover a lot of things. Sasabihin nyo, sir, magastos naman yan eh. Then read a book. Okay? You don't have to buy. There's free ebook online that you can learn. My goal as a leader is really to develop level 1 to level 5 leaders. Good to great leaders. Kayo naman, your goal is to develop yourself to become level 1 to level 5 leaders. So, dapat at your stage, highly capable individual kayo. And then aspire to become level 2, contributing team member. And then aspire to become level 3, competent manager. And then level 4, effective leader. And level 5, executive. That is your dream dapat, to become an executive. To become good to great employees. Then, importante siyempre yung values. Because values, they don't change. Kung ano yung integrity noon, yung pa rin ang integrity ngayon. So values are timeless guiding principles. Dapat meron tayo niyan at hindi ko may ituro sa inyo yan. You cannot teach, you can teach skills but you cannot teach values. No? Imagine nung elementary, nung kinder, prep, what did we see in our room every time we go inside? Ano nakalagay sa room natin, sa walls? Honesty is the best policy. Cleanliness is good to godliness. Okay? Nung nag-elementary, anong sabi ng elementary? I was part of the Boy Scout. Laging handa. Laging handa. And then during high school, hindi pa usong Facebook nun eh. Slam book pa lang. And meron doon portion, motto. Yung ibang nilalagay doon, time is gold. Madaling spelling. Time is gold. Ako noon, ang ginagawa, ang nilalagay ko, remember M, remember E, put them together, remember me. Okay? But the motto is really your direction in life, something that you look forward to. Ngayon, ano ba ang motto nyo? Diba? Iba-iba ang motto natin. When I went to FEU, I was a member of the Student Catholic Action. Tinuro sa amin doon, all men are good. All men are created in the image and likeness of God. Nung pumasok ako sa McDonald's, my first day, nawalan ako ng sapatos. So, ibig sabihin, all men are not good. Tapos, when I went to SM, all men are created equal. All men are not created equal. Sabi ko, bakit ganun? Hindi ba sa Bible, all men are equal? Ibig sabihin pala na all men are not created equal is because some are slow learner, some are fast learner, some are tall, some are short. So, ibig sabihin, may mga pagkakaiba pa rin per person. Okay? So, it's important that those values, philosophies, principles, nandyan sa inyo. Because sometimes you will be tempted. Imagine working in a supermarket. Merong temptations. Merong food, may drinks, may pera. Oh. So what would make you upright? It's your values. So importante yung values sa atin. So values like integrity, teamwork, customer focus, result-oriented, and social responsibility. So yan yung mga values ng SM. I will not dwell into that because it's part of the HR trainings BMB session. And then your social responsibility to your superiors, staff, co-employees, community, and local officials. Ako, I realize just because I'm paid, I'm an employee, I cannot serve others. No. You can serve your staff, your superiors, your co-employees, and the community. Hindi ibig sabihin, charity lang ang serving. No. Even to your staff, even if they are your boss, you are still serving them. So at the end of the day, our duty is to serve. But hindi naman pwedeng lagi mong tutulungan. No? May kasabihan nga, give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man how to fish and he eats for a lifetime. So kailangan turuan nyo. Hindi pwedeng spoon feeding. Okay? Doon sa mga nag-expect na pagpasok sa SM, tuturo sa inyo lahat, that's not possible. Okay? You have to do it on your own as well. Hindi pwede kayong umasa sa iba. Teaching is not a guarantee that the person will learn. Attitude plays a big role. So before you help, think again. You might be making it too easy for them that they lose the drive factor to hold on and persevere. Allow them to develop their adversity quotient, AQ. IQ and EQ are important elements, but the person needs to fail and lose to succeed in the future. Okay? So there's a story about a child who saw a cocoon. Alam niyo yung cocoon? The cocoon is a stage wherein the caterpillar becomes a butterfly. It's the transition stage. So nakita ng bata na nahihirapang lumabas yung butterfly. So ang ginawa ng bata, binuksan niya yung cocoon para makalabas ang butterfly. Unfortunately, the butterfly wasn't able to fly. Why? Because you need struggle. The butterfly needs to struggle so that the veins, the fluids goes to the veins of the wings. At that time, since tinulungan ng bata yung butterfly, hindi nag-spread yung fluid sa veins ng wings. So, hindi siya nakalipad. Okay? So, according to Jessie Lynn Stoner, help is not always helpful. Sometimes it interrupts their opportunity for growth and keeps them dependent. So, okay lang na sometimes your bosses don't give you everything because sometimes you really have to initiate. Okay? So, what did you learn from today? What did you learn from today's session? What are your takeaways? I hope that as an assistant supervisor, you are able to appreciate what would be your future, what will be your destination in the company. Okay? But it has to start from you. Okay? So I hope that after 1 year, we see each other when you become supervisors. And you become supervisors and go through my Live Up series. You will learn theories and styles of leadership. Ano ba yung mga theories and styles of leadership yan? Servant, transformational, and transactional leadership. The law of explosive growth, performance evaluation, financial literacy, pati ba naman pag-handle ng pera, tuturo ko pa. So dapat talaga bayaran niyo ako per hour. Financial literacy, EQ, motivation, and decision making. Hopefully, it can help you when you become supervisors also. My resources are, my references are yung kay John Maxwell, 5 Levels of Leadership, and Educational Administration by Fred Lunenberg and Alan Ornstein. These are some of my working principles. If you have time, please read it from my FB notes. One of my principles that I always say is passion before compensation. Kasi maraming mga nagtatanong bakit maliit ang MI ko? Bakit hindi pa ako napopromote? Passion before compensation. Okay? If you have time, please read my FB notes. I have about 100 articles in my FB notes under J. Ronald Tag. You can search for me. I didn't declare my name because when I declared my real name, puro customer complaints yung inabot ko. So some of the articles I wrote, how to build a winning team, she's got it all about SM, your history of failure is not your future, ano pa, life's purpose, yun, passion before compensation, your tomorrow starts today, sunset, if you want to resign, pag nabasa niyo yan, hindi na kayo mag-resign. A dozen reasons to leave the Philippines. So hindi lang about work, I also write something about family life, love life. Goodbye, my first love. Follow your heart is my personal story, Father's Day story. I hope that you can read that. When two become one is for couples. So when I lectured something about making the relationship better, nagtampo yung mga singles. So I wrote before two become one. And then September e-lecture, Thinking in New Boxes. Sabi nila, think outside the box. Ito, think new boxes. And then my experience in McDonald's tea. Love ko to. 10 reasons why you should work in a supermarket. I hope that you can read that. Thank you. Hope to see you all in the next SM Markets Learning Session. I hope kung ilan kayo ngayon, by the time na maging supervisor kayo, ganun pa rin yung numbers nyo. And always remember, everything starts with you. Develop yourself and opportunities will come so that you can serve others. So this is JRT, Learn, Lead, and Serve. Thank you very much.